What a nice young man.
Brian.
Talking about Russell.
Well, has there been any decision made on whether any of your freshmen will redshirt this season?
No, haven't even discussed it. Again, it's always on the player. So, I know. John Moore should have redshirted, Keith Nankinville, Tim Jarmus, and they all would have been back this year. Is that what you're going to say?
I was not going to say that. Is that a discussion you'd have as early as this week yet, or is that down the line?
Well, it would have to be this week, a decision if somebody wanted to, so.
Trayvon played, fair number of minutes in the exhibition game and played pretty well. You mentioned him on Saturday after the game. Are you surprised how quickly his development has come in the few weeks he's been here?
Well, I think for those that have been around here a while, they know the kind of people that usually get a little bit more of an advantage of playing time when I'm the coach. And that is, if defensively you're picking up things, Josh Gosser played last year as a freshman because defensively he picked things up quicker than most freshmen. And I think the word has spread over the years that, you can be a pretty good shooter, but if you're not playing defense, not making the reads. And the thing about defense is somebody might look good on the ball, but yet their help and their decision-making on screens is not that good. Trey has developed very quickly and has adopted our reads and a lot quicker than some of the other guys, and that's why he's got the potential to get more minutes. Now, if that stops happening and other guys learn a little quicker and move ahead of them, then those guys will be playing more. But it's still all about what you can do in game situations to help the team overall, both on the offensive end and the defensive end. In the front line, we're looking to replace, as I've said many times, the defensive read and reacts that the three guys that moved on this past year in the front line, what they gave us. And that's where we have to we got a lot of work to do to get our front line ready to be as advanced as maybe the guard positions defensively on how to read and react to screens, to staggered screens, down screens, up screens, all the different ball screen reads. That's where we got a lot of work to do. But Trey played because he's learned a lot of things, and he's using them.
Does your scout team in practice get a whole lot better if the NBA stays locked out and you have likes of Finley and Harris? And what was the guys' reaction to
Those guys,
them?
they really made our practice tough. They held us back. They didn't quite understand what I wanted, and no, it was a good practice. We have good practices when there aren't NBA guys on the court, but it was kind of neat to have the two of them out there. They interacted pretty well with the players, and they made some observations to me about certain guys and certain things. And what was really neat was we did some old school passing drills. And Devin's used to them. Devin's done all of them. I was real curious to see how Michael was going to react. He was right in there learning the four corners, learning the pivot passing, learning the full court passing and all the old school drills and ball handling drills. And they did everything. They did everything that our guys did. And it made for an interesting practice.
I think the big question in the offseason, of course, was who's going to pick up the slack after Jordan Taylor. Do you think you kind of answered that question, the fact that he only scored 8 points and your team scored 82 on Saturday?
Well, I think Jordan was trying to be a point guard like he always has. His scoring opportunities, he wasn't forcing anything. He wasn't trying to, we didn't run a lot of isolated screens for him. For his shot, we ran some screens that if the defense doesn't play it a certain way, somebody else is going to be open. So when they took that away from him, he found his teammates, and when you have 7-to-1 ratio, that's pretty good, but he was a point guard, and defensively he played really well. And you might say, yeah, but that's Stevens Point. No, Stevens Point is a very good offensive team. They lost last year, so I think the eventual champion in Division III for the national championship. And if you follow any of that kind of basketball, you know that there are teams with pretty good systems. And systems are hard to beat, are hard to play against. So I thought Jordan did a great job of understanding what a Giordana wanted to do, the other Thielemann that he was matched up against. I thought he did a great job of just being a sound fundamental player, and that's what we needed him to do. And some other guys hit some shots, which we're going to need. And you still have to remember, he's one player. He's a 6'1" guard who's pretty good. But you know, you play college basketball, you got to have a lot more than that to be successful as a team. So he did his job well.
Ryan Evans seems like a guy who's persevered. I mean, cut from a team in high school, probably not many All-State players that could say that. Do you get that sense that he's kind of persevered and put in his time, and maybe now kind of showing all that stuff to the public?
Well, yeah, I mean, and he still has a lot to show. There's still a lot of things defensively that he's working on. If you get a few steals, it doesn't mean that you played great defense for a game. You don't measure a defensive player just by steals, because sometimes you gamble and you get steals, and maybe you left your guy off a back door where a guy got a layup. So he's working on a lot of things with screens. He's working on the things that he and Bruzewitz and Berggren have to do are things better than what we had last year, or they would have played more. That is still the way it works. But they weren't quite ready yet. So now it's kind of like they need to be ready. And some people react to that a lot better when they know, okay, this is my chance. This is my time. Not that they didn't feel they couldn't get it before. I mean, you have to show it in practice. But consistency-wise, the three guys that started at the 3, 4, 5 spot last year defensively were still green. And they're green this year, but hopefully not as green. I was trying to think of in the Crayola box. There's 64 colors. There's a dark green, there's a lighter green. What are they called again? Because we used to play a little game on camping trips with my kids. If you could name all 64 colors. What's the darkest green? Forest green. What's the lightest? Lime? Was there a lime green?
Well, Brett mentioned it when he was up here about Brady Ewing, how he had to kind of out-recruit you for him. I think you offered maybe a preferred walk-on a couple years ago. Can you just recall what you liked about him?
And a Snickers.
Yeah, what you liked about him out of Richland Center, and just some of the things that he did that just...
Well, probably because I had a young man at Richland Center, from Richland Center, that played against my sons when they were at Platteville, and he was a kid that never saw a college basketball game in person, didn't play AAU basketball, and came to Platteville and was National Player of the Year by the time he was a junior. So I thought, and an all-around athlete, baseball, football, basketball. And Brady Ewing was like him, and he had come to our camps, and so yeah, he was a tough, hard-nosed player, a Gosser type. And, I'd still like to see Gosser and Brady go one-on-one. Maybe we can get a little charity thing set up. Am I starting something?
Well, how well do you know Lewis Preston from his days at Penn State, and are you anticipating anything similar between what Penn State ran and what you're going to see from Kennesaw on Saturday?
I'm not even going to attempt to say anything about Kennesaw because we do not have anything. So, I couldn't say it. I don't know. We're trying to get information. But we got so many things to take care of on our own about us that we've got plenty in our drills today and the rest of the week to worry about us. But we'll have some. We'll eventually get some.
Anything else?
Can you touch on Jared Bergeron's, kind of debut as a starter and his development leading up to the first game?
Well, he's, again, boy, coming off that shoulder surgery a while back, and the fact that physically on the hill, and all the things that he's done in the conditioning, according to Scotty, he's one of the best big men that we've had, with agility, improvement in strength. So all those things are positives, and now he just, when you have that core strength and you have, your feet are a little better and all that, then it's all about how competitive you are. How you got to have a little bit of nasty in you. How you have to be, somebody that loves contact, somebody that likes to bang and, without picking up fouls and being somebody. Now it's hard to tell against a smaller team that we played the other night, but eventually here we'll face some big men. But the main thing is he has to work on helping on the screening situations and stopping smaller guards sometimes, or forwards getting to the rim and being in position to force them to kick the ball. Because that's 5 men are goalies. They really are. And he's a little better this year, but we need him to get a lot better in the next month or two before we get into the Big Ten.
Well, we talked about Trevon a lot. What have you seen from George Marshall so far?
Just, I know Jordan gets, in a lot of the drills, it's either Trey or George guarding him, and Jordan Taylor's not blowing by either one of them. So the quickness that those guys, and they love to go against Jordan, which is a good test. Who wouldn't if you're playing on a team? Oh, good, I want to go against him. And I want our guys to have that attitude. But he's good with his feet. His jump shots, his mid-range jump shots, as good as anybody's on the team. Now he's working on understanding transition defense, when to protect the rim, when to fire out, how to go over screens, how to handle the guys that set illegal screens and deal with it. So there's a lot to learn in this game, and George has already picked up some things.
Anything else for Coach? All right, thanks, Coach.